Dr. Palmer has been pursuing the hypothesis that many mental disorders, especially the really severe mental disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depression, intractable depression, with no apparent environmental cause, let's say, or psychological cause, might be associated with metabolic disorder, mediated primarily by mitochondrial dysfunction. The mitochondria are basically the energy factories in every cell, and so and that's not all they do. Mitochondrial disorder, therefore, is very, very serious problem. He's been experimenting with ketogenic diet, akin in some sense to the diet that my daughter has been promoting, the Lion diet, making the case that use of such diets can not only reduce the effect of potential toxins on mitochondrial function, but also increase mitochondrial metabolism and also help the body heal by putting it into a state known as autophagy or mitophagy, which are states where the body is actually taking itself apart as a consequence of food deprivation and then rebuilding itself. Anyways, he makes the case. We'll discuss the probability that this kind of hypothesizing has gone beyond the merely anecdotal to the point where there is a tremendous amount of research supporting the proposition that dietary factors play a major role in the genesis of such severe mental disorders, and not only mental disorders, also physical disorders like obesity, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, the common enemies of mankind. And so we're going to discuss that in detail. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Palmer, let's start out at the level of conceptualization. In your 2022 book, correct me if I get any of this wrong, because I don't want to put words in your mouth, you're concentrating at least on the relationship between, I would say, brain dysfunction, biological dysfunction, metabolic dysfunction, and what we generally think of as mental disorders. And so the typical, more abstract psychological conceptualization would be that a mental disorder, something associated with psychopathology and undue suffering, let's say, with dysfunction in the social environment and so forth, might be a consequence of faulty beliefs and perceptions, and so they can get bent to the point where they're indistinguishable from delusions. And then also skill deficits, which is often what behaviorists remediate. And it's obvious that a skill deficit in social ability, for example, isn't equivalent to a metabolic disorder. But let me start by asking you how you lay out your conceptualization of metabolic disorder and what implications you think that has for the diagnosis and further understanding and treatment of so-called mental disorders.
It's a complicated situation, as you even just began to hint at. And, that maybe one easy way to outline my conceptualization is that there are mental states and there are mental disorders. So all humans will suffer.
Yes.
All humans will have anxiety at some point or another in their life. All humans will get depressed, or most humans will get depressed if they experience tragic loss, or humiliation and shame. And those are not brain disorders as far as I'm concerned. That is the normal state of being a human being. And as you alluded to, depending on your upbringing and your experiences, you might learn maladaptive themes or maladaptive lessons in life. People aren't trustworthy. You can't trust anybody, and you go through life that way. And that can actually have very serious consequences for people. But I don't think those people have brain disorders. The reason they believe what they believe, the way that happens is all obvious once you understand the person's full history. And so there are myriad ways in which humans can suffer and develop maladaptive patterns that do not include brain disorders. And psychotherapy can be
Disease,
helpful, and just being human and all of the life skills that you talk about apply to those people. And yet there are other people who have brain disorders. Their brains are malfunctioning. They have
Yeah, sabi
anxiety
niya may
or
mga tao
panic
daw na
for
may
no reason.
brain
They
disorder.
have crippling OCD for
Like
no
OCD.
clear reason. They have crippling, unrelenting depression for no clear reason. They have
ganun po.
hallucinations, delusions,
Ano po, try niyo
manic
pong mag-read
episodes,
ng
and
libro.
other types of symptoms.
Ano,
And it is largely believed
kasi
in the
mahirap yan kasi
psychiatric field
hindi
that
natin
these people
naiintindihan
do in fact have
yung
brain
pinagdadaanan
disorders
ng
and that their
isang
brains
tao.
are malfunctioning. And at the end of the
Ano,
day, what I
nakakatulong
am
talaga yung
arguing
mga
is
podcast
that
na
there is in
nasa
fact a
YouTube
central
yung
theme to these malfunctioning
pinakikinggan ko
brain
yung mga
symptoms.
Jordan P.
And they
Peterson,
revolve
mga
around
kanyang
metabolism.
podcast,
And that if we take
Robert
this
Greene,
global picture and understand that
Chris
these brain
Williamson,
conditions are actually metabolic
Rogan.
in nature.
Pero yung ginawa ko po, nung
Number
hindi ako
one, it
makatulog,
can help us better
in the morning
understand
po, nag-exercise
how
ako.
all of the risk
Like,
factors can come together to result in mental
Example,
disorders or mental
jogging,
illness.
like,
But much more importantly, it
gusto
gives
mo
us clear,
hanggang 3 kilometer,
actionable
ganon.
treatment that we
Tapos
typically
gym,
do not
lift ng
use
weights.
today.
Nakakatulong
And
talaga
they
yun na
span a wide variety of different treatment
mag-exercise.
strategies. But
Para
they include things
makatulong
like changes
pagkagat.
in diet,
Gabi.
changes in exercise, looking for hormone
So,
or
yes.
vitamin deficiencies, thinking more kind of in a more sophisticated way about substance use, and thinking in a much more sophisticated way about the medications
Kaya
that
niyo
we
po yan.
prescribe for psychiatric
Never
conditions.
give up.
Because some of them can improve
know.
brain metabolism, but we know that some of them are actually harmful to metabolism.
Let me outline a diagnostic approach to you with regards to the differential diagnosis of
Yeah,
depression. I thought
room ko
about
lang.
this a lot, so tell me what
Work
you
from
think,
home
and then
kasi
we'll
ako.
turn to a
Ano,
discussion of the list of contributing factors
room ko lang to.
to
And ito na rin
physiological
yung office.
brain dysfunction or
Office ko.
illness. And we can tie those together. Okay, so one of the things I noticed as a clinician, and I think that this is key to solving the mystery of perhaps
yes.
of differential response to serotonin reuptake inhibitors and other antidepressants. Now, I don't think it's the only key, but I think it's an important one. I don't think it's one that's being attended to enough. So I noticed in my practice that there were two broad classes of people with depression. Okay, so we can define depression first for everybody watching and listening. So
Hindi po. Ano po? Freelancer po. Ano po ako? Online teacher. Yeah. Hala, ano na na. Okay. VA po ako dati pero nag-online teaching na po ako ngayon. Kasi yung task ko before, hindi ko po na-enjoy masyado. Mga European po, may mga German, Italian, may mga from Israel, Poland, Czech Republic. Yeah. Mas okay kasi para sa akin yung work na to kasi mas enjoyable siya para sa akin. Tapos may interaction sa mga bata. Gusto ko. Kahit hindi masyadong mataas yung pay, okay lang. Pero di ko alam baka mag-transition ako ng ibang work kasi yeah, we need more money. We need more money. Yes. Nakakaano kasi pag teacher ka, parang sarap lang magtrabaho, parang nakikipag-usap lang sa okay, wait lang po. Balik lang po ako mag-live po. Bye-bye!